After 2 elections, 2 wars, 2 prime ministers, a Labour landslide and the return of one Donald Trump, it's finally Christmas. And after dozens of episodes of Never Mind the Ballots, we are hanging up our hats for 2024. But not before we look back. It's been, frankly, another mental year in British politics. Welcome to Never Mind the Ballots Christmas special. We have former Labour MP, head of Labour Together, Jonathan Ashworth, a friend of Never Mind the Ballots, who came on, I think, after about 24 hours consistently being up at one point during the election and chatted quite a lot of nonsense.
Well, I always chat nonsense, but it's a pleasure to be here to chat more nonsense.
Absolutely. On Sunday's very own Kate Ferguson, friend of the show. Kate McCann from Times Radio, another regular, been on once?
Twice, maybe.
Twice. And Jack Elsom in his dad's Christmas jumper.
Merry Christmas.
From the 1970s. Guys, mental year, of which we spent a lot of it sitting right here, chatting away. John Ashworth, obviously, you've had a year of ups and downs.
Yes, I deserve the wooden spoon for being the loser of the year.
Trophy later, but leaving aside the slight difficulties of what happened in Leicester South, what was your moment of the year? Well, other than that,
my moment of the year, Harry, is for the first time in almost 20 years, the Sun endorsed the Labour Party. It was Harry Watt won it.
Time for a new manager, I believe.
Harry Watt won it, and the general election victory is obviously the big moment for me as a Labour politician. Obviously disappointing given my own personal circumstances, but nonetheless, historically it is a remarkable result, and as I say, it's all because of you, Harry.
Thanks, Jonathan. Thanks for having got you on. Kate Ferguson, Sun readers, British public, bit of buyer's remorse so far from the election. You know, he went into Downing Street as the least popular prime minister in history, who was entering, already in negative approval ratings within weeks. How's it gone since then?
I think it could have gone better, couldn't it? I mean, I think if they we're going to whack your taxes up by £50 billion on the manifesto, we might have thought twice about that front page. You didn't come around and tell us that, Jonathan. I remember you saying you wouldn't raise our taxes. I remember specifically you saying it was the Tories that would raise our taxes.
That's why we got it. I remember someone saying that exactly what had happened. Let's have a look who predicted all of this chaos.
I was right then when I warned about Liz Truss, and that's why all of you can trust me now when I also warn about the damage that Keir Starmer would do to our economy, right? In that election, everyone said I was going to lose. I was saying something that no one wanted to hear, but I was saying it because I believed it, right? And I'm telling you again now, all seems a bit familiar. If Keir Starmer's your Prime Minister, the economy is going to suffer and all of you are going to suffer. I don't want to see that happen. That's why I'm carrying on going every day in this election. I believe in what I'm saying and I want to stop those tax rises happening for all of you.
Rishi Sunak sat upstairs in the news building, said, Labour will put up your taxes, Keir Starmer is lying to you, and it's exactly what happened, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, has been proved right.
But still got absolute tonking.
He did. It was not popular. I mean, I guess, did you guys lie to us, Jonathan?
No, we didn't lie to you. We said we wouldn't put up tax on working people. You're a working person.
I
feel like my taxes have gone up indirectly, definitely.
No,
I feel like
we were very clear, no tax increases on working people. And we didn't... Actually, the Conservatives were complaining that we hadn't ruled out an increase. We hadn't ruled out an increase.
The good guys won, right?
For national insurance for the employers. So what we did in that budget, given the shocking state of the fiscal inheritance, they had to make tough decisions.
Anyway, it turns out Rishi Sunak was Delphic, but still not very popular.
Kate McCann, another massive election, the other side of the pond, in America. I mean, that's going to have knock-on implications far more reaching than Keir Starmer, even though he's got a massive majority here. Surely that's got to be the moment of the year?
Yeah, I think it probably is the moment of the year, and it's already having an impact on politics around the world. I mean, it's having an impact on what's happening in Ukraine and Russia, and Donald Trump isn't actually technically even
It looks
in
like the
office
president.
Yet.
He sounds like the president. He's wandering around like the president.
Exactly.
Wandering around like the president. In
a
presidential sort of way.
Yeah. But it is a slightly new Donald Trump now, isn't it? It's not the sort of mad, chaotic, kind of crazy guy we saw a bit of in the election. But since then, he looks quite serious, right?
Well, I think it remains to be seen whether or not he'll be serious in office. I mean, some of his choices for his most senior team could mean that we'll be in for a really wild ride for the next couple of years. So I think we don't know yet what he's going to be like in government, as a president. But in terms of the impact he's already having, it's absolutely huge. And the moment of the year, like those moments that you really look back on, will be that successive kind of Biden resigning, stepping back, Donald Trump, being shot. I know we're going to come on to talk about it, but that what's happened in America is really going to define what's happening here in the next couple of years.
Jack Elson, one man, not you, but Nigel Farage, looking very closely at what's happening in America. You know, he's in contact, he says, with, you know, Trump on a daily basis, talking on the phone. You know, the sort of almost forgotten, well, secondary headline figures from the election was reform. Nigel Farage, a man is wandering around now saying he can be Prime Minister by 2030. You know, you've got him here, you've got Trump in the White House. How's that going to play out, and how has it played out so far?
I actually think the most consequential moment of the year was Nigel Farage coming back to lead the Reform Party. If you
he sat right there and said, I'm right in that seat there.
I'm retired.
I'm retired. I'm not coming back.
He said he's retired about 3 or 4 times. He's like a sort of an old boxer, isn't he? He's come out of retirement, you know, more times than them. I mean, if you think about Reform at the start of the year, they were seen as a bit of a joke shop.
Yeah.
They were led by Richard Tice. He did an okay job at keeping them together, but they said they were going to win all these by-elections and then sort of scrape them to 4th all those times. Nigel Farage coming back, and I remember being in the room, Richard Tice suddenly said, oh, by the way, I'm not the leader anymore. Welcome back, Nigel. And since then, they've basically been on cloud 9. The momentum has been with them. And now having his best mate in the White House, he can use that to say, look what you're doing, Keir Starmer. I've got on the phone to Donald Trump and he says that you're not doing enough. It's going to be a really, really tough point for Keir Starmer with Nigel Farage punching those bruises.
Jonathan Ashworth, pain in the arse for the Prime Minister having his golf club buddy Nigel on the blower all the time, bypassing the usual channels?
No, I mean, I don't think so. I mean, Keir's put a lot of effort into building up a rapport and a relationship with Trump. That's really important. I mean, the United Kingdom's relationship with the United States will remain steadfast. We do believe in the special relationship. And Keir always says he wants to put country ahead of party, and that will be what guides him. Look, Nigel is going to try and get publicity on this. Of course he is.
Yeah.
But he's only got, is it 5 MPs? I mean, we're talking as if he's the leader of the opposition.
He
He's not the leader of the opposition.
He sort of is the leader of the opposition now.
There is actually a leader of the opposition, Kemi Badenoch, who doesn't think we should have
Well,
sandwiches. That's how she's getting in the news.
Don't ruin the quiz. Don't ruin the quiz. But no, on a serious note, they may only have 5 MPs, but they didn't spend very much money at the last election, and they still came second, I think, in 98 seats, of which about 75 of them are Labour seats. And so, you know, number 10 should be, you know, panicking about.
Well, number 10 shouldn't be panicking, but obviously we in the Labour Party, number 10, the Labour leadership, need to take it seriously.
Yeah.
We need to understand why people voted Labour in the last election. It was because of change. It was because they wanted to see the economy improve, sort out the NHS, to bring security to the borders.
Look at this.
I certainly am, but Labour has to deliver on all of those. And if Labour doesn't deliver on those...
Exactly what happened to the Tories in
Exactly.
2019. They made a load of grand promises and they got, you know, and they broke them all.
Exactly. And it's why Labour has really got to make sure that in next year and the year after, these are years of the delivery. No one's expecting all these things to be turned around in 2 years. You've got to show you're making progress.
Let's, we talked about Labour, we talked about reform. We haven't really talked about the Tories yet. Veterans, all of you, of multiple election campaigns. Cam, was that the crappiest Tory campaign? Well,
Wisdom belies my age.
Jack, you've been around the block a while.
What that says about us.
Yeah. You know, what about all the ones you were campaigning in?
Very funny. It's Christmas. I'll let it slide.
Kill his mic. But guys, was that the crap? I remember standing with you outside Downing Street in the pissing rain, frankly, watching a Prime Minister literally drain power and reputation drain away in the rain. You know, it couldn't have got off to a worse start. It just got worse, right?
It's still completely baffling to me that he continued with this speech. Even, I mean, the fact that they came out in the first place knowing it was pouring with rain and then continued it remains one of the most bonkers moments in politics that I can think of.
Yeah.
I think the thing to remember here is that what Jonathan Ashworth is saying is that Labour needs to deliver, but what Labour's actually done in the first 5 months is get caught up talking about the semantics of some of their politics, which is exactly what Rishi Sunak's problem was. The difference between Sunak and Starmer is actually not that great. They're both managerial.
Boring technocrats.
They're both quite technical.
Politically tin-eared.
They both want to explain to the electorate why they're doing what they're doing. The electorate doesn't want to hear why you're doing it. They just want to see you deliver it. And I think for Rishi Sunak, you know, it was over really before that moment, but that moment is the absolute pinnacle of just political failure.
Well, that moment, we watched that in Labour head office and we could not believe it. And I remember I turned to Morgan McSweeney and I said to him, this guy Sunak, he would F up a cup of coffee. I mean, we just could not believe it. And I think that did really symbolise the Tory campaign. Just on your point, yeah, you are right, but I do think politicians have to be always explaining what they're doing.
But not so much so that you only ever explain what you're doing. I mean, when you're producing a 40-page document of a plan for change, when your election manifesto ran on a campaign of change, the plan should come before the change. And now you're giving us the plan, but you were elected on the change. No one really knew what that was. Now you're having to explain what it is. It feels like inertia.
I know, but you'll be able to hold all those ministers to account when they're doing media rounds on what they've committed to.
Well, except from there's not a lot in the way of commitment in that. It's pretty much a rehash of the manifesto, which, it has to be said, was not overly ambitious anyway, because you knew that you had to find a lot of money when you came into government.
Well, they've set out some key priorities, and you can keep...
It's all getting a bit serious. I mean, I'm fascinated. This is not what we're here for. Okay, folks, and, Jack obviously was in the room when Richard Tice resigned in a shocking moment. Let's talk about resignations. Not yours, I hope.
Resignation.
What a way to find out.
It took 4 months for Labour to have their first resignation. Lou Hague.
I think I had money on Lou Hague in the first one.
I mean, she was described by someone
I did not have money on
as a walking
I was going to
reshuffle.
say, we don't do that anymore, do we?
Not allowed to do that.
Yeah, no, betting in politics,
Sorry.
very serious, very serious.
Go ahead.
I don't think it's going to be the sort of, it was almost a sort of one-day story, and Starmer acted pretty quickly to pull the trigger on that one. Did you do the right thing?
Yeah, I mean, obviously he did the right thing pulling the trigger. I mean, why he kept her in the cabinet when he knew that she had this conviction on his books, I don't know. We all were quite, sorry Louise, we were all quite surprised that he did keep her in the cabinet. Yeah, I mean, he was quick to pull the trigger. It was the most astounding letter that he wrote back to her.
I've never seen anything like it. It was
so
just like 4
short.
sentences.
Yeah, because usually they're like, oh, you're so great. We can still be friends. Call me later, long letters. And this was just one tiny little paragraph. So I don't know if he was like, was he cross with Louise, do you think?
Well, I don't know. I think this is really sad for Louise, though, because I did think she had a promising political career ahead of her. And look, but her position, she did the right thing in the circumstances.
If she wasn't able to be in the cabinet once it had come out publicly what had happened in the past, and she had to leave the cabinet, why was it okay to appoint her to the cabinet in the first place?
Well, I think that is my. I don't know what conversations have gone on, but my understanding is Number 10 are saying the new information came to light.
And she hadn't necessarily been fully honest in the first place with how serious it was.
Well, that's what the Number 10 line is, but I mean, I wasn't obviously not involved in any of these conversations. I don't know.
Not a bombshell resignation, but Kate, we're going back to America. I mean, I don't think you can escape the significance of that, of Biden finally being crowbarred out of his seat. That's got to be the resignation of the year. That appalling debate performance. You had this sort of nexus of Obama and George Clooney and half the Senate, and basically they sort of basically broke the Democratic Party. Do you think if he'd gone sooner, it might have given them a better chance in fighting Trump?
Well, I think the reality is, in the lead up to that speech, I mean, we were in America at that time. I think Biden gave a 2.5-hour press conference where almost every single question, this is way before he actually resigned, was, you're too old, you're too doddery, you don't remember things, you fall off stages. I mean, this went on for a really long time.
Calling Zelensky Putin was a particularly gem of a moment for me.
And then the Ukrainians had to cancel a press conference because how do you answer questions about the American president accidentally mixing you up as President Putin? I mean, it was clear that it was over a long time before it was over. The sad fact for the Democrats is they had absolutely no one really ready and waiting in the wings. They were not prepared for it, and they were not prepared when the inevitable happened. But I mean, watching an American president in that position.
Yeah, it's very terrifying.
Really, hugely. And also for people here in the UK, I think really baffling and difficult to understand how they dealt with it politically. I mean, politicians.
Jack, we've seen some cover-ups in our time, but I mean, that has got to be the biggest cover-up since Watergate, right? It is, if you think about it. The very same people that spent a year screaming down the phone at journalists or suggestions. I remember at the G7 writing a story that Biden basically lost it in one of the sessions. Massive, denial from the White House, very aggressive, but they were lying, and they could see what we could all see. They only hid it until they couldn't hide it anymore, right?
Yeah, and they were trying to argue that black is white, and everyone with their own eyes could see the way in the sort of the mental state of Joe Biden. They were just going out to protect him. And we do know now that actually they were lying about other things, The fact they said that they weren't going to pardon Hunter Biden. They lied about that. So I think there's actually, obviously, we know as, veteran journalists, whatever, that spin doctors can sometimes be,
Go on, get it out. I can feel the anger.
Sorry, John.
I can feel the anger. Basically,
be liberal with the truth.
Yeah, stop lying to us, you like. Yeah.
I don't know.
I just feel like you're here just to here to be beat
taking
up.
politicians.
Let's talk about of politicians lying. Should we see my favourite moment of Keir Starmer being very unable to answer quite a simple question, in my view? When did you last take illegal drugs?
Harry, I had a good time when I was a student.
What does a good time when you're a student look like there?
It means I had a good time when I was a student.
But what does that mean?
It means I had a good time when I was a
Smoking
student.
some spliffs, doing some acid, partying, drugs. What was it?
A good time.
You're not answering the question, are you?
I had a good time when I was a student.
Did you ever do drugs after you left university?
Look, I had a good time when I was a student, and whichever way you put this, Harry.
Did you do drugs when you were a lot?
Look, Harry, I'm not going down that road.
You can see why people think you're untrustworthy, though, when you won't answer a simple question. Jonathan Ashes, I mean, like, you know, you've advised prime ministers and leaders of the opposition, and, you know, is that the best answer?
He had a good time as a student.
Do you have a good time as a student?
Actually, actually, as it happens, no. Probably one of the...
Were you at the Labour Club delivering leaflets?
Yes, actually. I'm one of the few politicians who can say I didn't have a good time as a student, I suspect. That's absolutely true, unbelievably perhaps. But look, I mean, you know, that's how politicians answer these questions these days.
Badly and misleadingly and to something. That's why, can't you see why people get annoyed?
Well, that's the sort of David Cameron response as well, wasn't he? That's the way he answered it back in the day.
I can't remember exactly what his was.
But it was a sort of a similar sort of thing. Oh, you know, I had a good time as a young man. Sort of. He said something. It was a similar formulation.
I had a normal student experience.
There we go. Normal university.
Yes.
Dressing up in the Bullingdon Club and
Experience.
smashing up restaurants.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But obviously,
lawyers, please check.
I mean, he clearly did, right? It's well documented. Whereas I read the Starmer biography, and they said that actually he didn't get up to any of this stuff at university. So whether or not he's just trying to pretend
Tom
he is,
Baldwin,
exactly, just trying to pretend he is.
I can't believe it.
The bard of the new Labour Party.
I read the hagiography.
I'm going to play my moment of the year. And this is a moment of the year that I actually completely missed at the time because, well, see what it is.
I call again for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza, the return of the sausages, the hostages.
I was sitting in the hall, and I had the editor with me actually, so I was on sort of, you know, very seriously, studiously taking notes. Completely missed that. Jonathan, that's got to be a nightmare scenario for politicians, right? Did he know? Do you think he'd realised who'd done it?
Well, I think he just. I think he corrects himself, and then.
But do you hear some howl of pain coming from the?
I mean, these sorts of things do happen sometimes, don't they? Just obviously, it's an accident. You slip over your words. I mean, it's not the end of the world.
I think it was the first question in the huddle after the leadership thing, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It's the first one poor Sophie was asked.
Kate and I went to New York with him the day afterwards.
Yeah.
And
This Kate.
sorry, this Kate here.
We've got two Kates.
And he was asked about that, and he didn't seem he didn't laugh at it, did he? He was asked was he was hungry at the time, and that's why he said it. Everyone, all the press
Didn't you-
back started
did you ask-
laughing.
you asked him that?
No, it was a colleague from a different broadcaster.
I thought it was you.
And we all started laughing, but he didn't see the funny side of it, and just said, "Oh, you know, these things happen." But,
Kate, you've travelled with the PM quite a bit. You've seen it up close. He can be a bit tetchy, right?
I think he's got
I don't think he likes journalists.
He's got tetchier. I mean, look, I said at the start, he's very like Sunak. They are quite similar. And, you know, that actually what's happened in those trips is that he's gone from having a kind of huddle of journalists and having photos taken, getting quite upset at the photos of him looking like relaxed and happy with the press. Now the photographer's been banned from taking photos of Starmer on the plane with the group of journalists because he doesn't like those photos in the press. And I think, you know, that restrictive, that immediate move to like stop anything that looks, you know, like he's enjoying himself. I mean, it's not a good, you're 5 months in. It's not a great way to start.
5 months in, other Kate. And he spent a month of that on literally abroad. Is he got that sort of thing that Prime Minister's got to get, you know, eventually towards the end where actually it's a bit rubbish at home and people want to shout at you about bins, where you can go and grandstand around, you know, around summititis.
I sort of think it's the opposite way around, actually, which is that he's gone and done all these foreign trips because he's new in the post or whatever. And he went to America so many times, maybe like 3 times before he
when Biden was also like bleeding out
I know,
as well.
exactly.
So it's like he's sort of lashing himself to the Biden mask.
To be fair, isn't that quite a sensible thing to do for a new incoming UK Prime Minister to recognise that there could potentially be a power vacuum, to put
Yeah,
yourself
that's true.
in a position
Yeah.
where you actually understand all the main players, you're on the ground, you're getting FaceTime with them. I would say that's actually probably quite a wise move. I mean, it's a risky move for him to have been out of the country so much, but given what's happening now, it's probably put him in a better position to be able to put the UK on the front foot than it would have done if he'd have just stayed.
And he
in the
met Trump pretty quick as well.
Yeah, I mean, look, 100 years ago, I worked in Number 10, and Prime Minister's time is always eaten up by foreign affairs, more so than they perhaps appreciate before they become Prime Minister. So it's really important that they build these good relationships with leaders across the world. I mean, I think that's a good thing for Britain, that you've got strong relationships with other countries.
Yeah, but I mean, okay, fine. But isn't it also...
Whatever.
But isn't it also just true that Keir has to do all this because, whisper it, like, people think David Lammy isn't up to all this? That's what lots of people in Labour say. Lots of people in Labour say that he's not particularly senior foreign secretary.
Yeah, Prime Ministers always end up putting lots of time and effort into
And
international
the other
relations.
the other thing I was going to say is I remember another Prime Minister spending lots of time abroad, which was Boris Johnson in dying days. And he went to do, 4 or 5 days in Rwanda.
It was Rwanda,
then
Germany,
then Spain. And then in that time, like, Dowden quit, they lost by-elections, and then by the time he got home, that was it.
He landed on the Monday, and he was out on the Thursday.
Exactly. So you do have to beware of foreign trip.
Let's make some predictions. Next cabinet minister to resign.
They'll all survive until the next general election.
Of course they will. Okay, will Jonathan Ashworth come back in a by-election?
I think Ashworth will come back at the next election. There you go.
Yeah, very good. How bad will the Trump-Keir relationship get? Will it sink as low as perhaps hand-holding a la Theresa May?
I think if it's just hand-holding, Keir Starmer will be pretty happy with that, actually. I think it's going to be a bit of a roller coaster.
Do you think we'll escape the sort of pain of the tariffs?
I mean, I think it's difficult to manage politically, but I don't think it will be as bad for the UK as many people are concerned about.
Jack, will we ever get a US trade deal?
No, I know the answer to this. The answer is no.
Well, there's a quiz. Luckily, there's a quiz coming up.
Turkey, maybe.
What is going to happen to Farage? Will he ever get a proper job? Will Keir lean on him in any way in the next year? Do you think?
I don't think so. I think Keir will be keeping him at arm's length. I mean, Nigel Farage has said that he's happy to access this bridge. You can't see Starmer going for that. He wants to forge his own relations. I think that Farage will definitely keep momentum going forward. If he can really professionalise his party, maybe with a cash injection from across the pond, Elon Musk perhaps.
Yep, find a legal vehicle for that.
He can really fill his coffers and make the party into a fighting machine, because it was their ground game in the last election that really wasn't up to scratch. You can see a world in which there's a lot of big figures now in reform, and they don't really like sharing the limelight a lot. Lee Anderson was sort of the up-and-coming man, and then...
Farage is a famously, sort of quite touchy man when it comes to having, people...
You're either on the Farage train or you're not on it. And, you're basically either in his shadow or you're not. And so I think that, there might be a bit of jostling in the reform ranks, but let's see.
Well, the council elections will be a reform Tory fight, because it's the county councils, there are a few county councils which are Labour targets, but it's generally a better set of elections for Conservatives. So if reform can get momentum there...
Sounds like expectation management.
Oh, I don't need to do that anymore.
I don't know. It sounds about Labour together. Obviously, it was this sort of sinister vehicle for taking,
Sinister?
routing the left from the Labour Party, and now...
Shadowy organisation.
For stitching up selections, wasn't it?
Well, of course it's a sinister, shadowy organisation. That's why it's appropriate for me to lead it, obviously. No, we're a think tank thinking about how Labour wins the next general election. We're not involved.
And how does Labour win the next election?
By delivering on our key promises around the economy, the NHS, and immigration, and so on.
Gosh, you're so on message. I think you were actually you're even more on message now than you were when you were in the shadow cabinet.
Well, just a message machine.
Who would like to do a quiz?
Me, please.
Yes. Excellent. Right. Don't go anywhere. We're getting the podiums out. Right. The moment you have been waiting for. The Never Mind the Ballots quiz of the year. To my right, in every possible way, we have John Ashworth, Kate Ferguson, Team Sausages. No explanation needed there. To my left, in fact, pretty much always to my left, Jack Elsom, Kate McCann. What's your quiz name?
Santa Claus 4.
That's rubbish.
That is fantastic. Ashworth's been laughing about it for the last 20 minutes.
Santa Claus, what not? You didn't fancy, something a bit more controversial? No?
Such as what?
No.
All right, let's do the quiz. Right, come on, we're running out of time. All right, test your buzzers. All right, okay, fastest fingers first. If you add up all of Keir Starmer's foundations, pillars, milestones, and missions,
What is that?
what number do you get to?
5 and 6.
Oh, and missions.
I don't know.
Oh, right.
Yeah, you're going to talk amongst yourselves.
73.
What?
73.
No, it's
so
not.
you can.
We're not going for that.
Well, no, incorrect.
16.
No,
You can't keep going.
they get a free hit.
Right.
It'll be like 21 or something.
No, there are 6.
I'm going to have to push you for an answer. I'm gonna have to push-
21!
That's actually correct.
That's absurd.
Did I tell you that?
No, but I don't even know what a pillar is. I didn't know there were pillars.
Right, for a bonus point, can you do better than the cabinet and correctly name all 3 foundations? Jack Elsom.
Yes. Border security, national security, economic security.
Yeah, I'm afraid.
What?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
No one knows that.
Jonathan Ashes, what are the 7 pillars to growth?
Hospital pass.
Building, planning reform.
I don't yeah, something like that. I don't. Okay, all right, enough of the missions. Enough of the
Did we
missions.
get a point or not?
No.
No, I think that's a comedy effect.
All right, next question. What is Labour's working majority?
Oh, the working majority.
I think that's. Yeah, go for it.
Well, I'm not saying it. You said.
I beat. I think it's 170.
No,
Incorrect.
I think it's 141.
Incorrect.
163.
Correct. Yeah! So I think they're slightly. I don't know. Someone's keeping score, I'm sure. Right. How many electoral college votes did Donald Trump get?
Oh, I won't know this.
This isn't a quiz.
This
it's
is a great
test.
quiz.
This is a test.
Well, you should have been paying attention.
Don't sign up for a
312.
test.
Correct. Give them the point. Sausages, team sausages. Right. How many to the nearest 1,000 air miles has Ed Miliband racked up since taking over the energy department?
Didn't we swear?
One of you
That's
two
all right.
must
There's
have
no
been
Ofcom
sorry.
here.
25,000.
Want to go?
Higher!
You can't just say.
Correct. Well, nearly. 23,000. Near enough.
Well done.
Yeah, he's probably flying home. Right. What, I don't know. Next question. Fastest fingers first. What is Rishi Sunak's favourite meal?
Sandwiches.
Very good. Who does not like sandwiches? What? Okay, this is a good question. What will Kemi Badenoch not touch?
Moist bread.
That was equal.
No.
I think moist
Half a point
Plastic.
each for screaming moist bread at me. Right, yeah, this is a good one. This is a good one. How many days after Nigel Farage appeared on Never Mind the Ballots saying he had no intention of running for Parliament, did Nigel Farage announce he was
2.
running for Parliament? No.
3.
No.
No.
It was 5. It was 5 days. No points for that. All right, there's a point here. There's 4 points. In fact, there's 5 points in this question.
Great. That was brilliant.
What is Donald Trump's McDonald's order?
Oh. Big Mac, fries, large Diet Coke,
I'm going to stop you there.
Milkshake. Wasn't it a milkshake? Isn't it quite rogue? Oh no, it's a fancy.
full fat Coke.
No, it's-
You can't just keep going through the whole menu.
You're gonna get. I'm gonna give you.
Sorry.
Let him finish.
I'm gonna give you 3 points for that, but you've got one of it wrong.
Okay.
Finish.
What was the other bit?
Apple pie?
No, it's a fillet of fish, Big Mac, fries, Fanta orange. For a bonus point,
Vank.
what condiment does he put on it?
Is it like sweet chili? Is it
It's
like,
not. It's one of those little glass jars of mayonnaise you get in a hotel. Yeah. Anyway.
Not true. Mayonnaise comes in plastic
No, but
packets.
these are little glass ones.
This was
so
on
yeah.
his private plane.
Anyway, yeah, that's
Brilliant.
Yeah, we're kind of killing the mood. Right. For 1 point each, can you name all of Donald Trump's children?
No.
Yeah.
No.
Don Jr.,
Yep.
Eric,
Yep.
Lara,
No.
She's a
sorry,
Over,
Ivanka,
over.
Yeah.
Tiffany,
Yeah.
and
And the best one, Baron.
and the last one clearly is
Is there another
He'd like.
There's only 5.
One more.
All right, come on, rattle through now. How old is Keir Starmer?
He's older than you think.
59.
No.
he's older than that.
61.
He's 61.
62.
Yeah, he's 60.
Jonathan Ashworth, give Team Sausages a point. And this one, I have no idea what the answer is. But what DJ was Angela Rayner photographed dancing behind?
I wrote this story, but I've forgotten his name because I was not familiar with his work. No. Really.
I don't think we get a point for that.
He's called someone like.
It was someone called Fisher.
Yeah.
Fisher. Didn't have that in the quiz. Right, now, I think it's what's the scores on the doors? I think it's a tie. Excellent. So we've got-
We're going to see that happen.
it's a tie. So we're going to have a tie break. I'm going to go to each of you,
Was it always going to be a tie?
maybe. I'm going to go to each of you with something, and you have to, a phrase, and you have to say if it was a Taylor Swift lyric or said by a famous politician.
I did this with
In the
Dave
big
Boundary
year, in the big year of Taylor Swift. Team Clause 4 moments. Whatever.
Santa Claus
Such a
4.
bad name. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Strategy sets the scene. Who said it?
I think it's Taylor.
I think you're right.
Yeah. I think we're going to go Taylor.
Taylor Swift?
Yeah.
Steam sausages. Even fools are right sometimes.
Why are you saying it in a drawn
Because, it's like a song.
Even fools are right sometimes.
Yeah.
1 second.
Well, I don't remember.
Have you said it? Have you ever said it?
No, I've never said that.
Has Keir?
Have you ever said it?
I don't think so. It doesn't feel like a very.
Taylor Swift!
It was Winston Churchill.
You can't! Not fair! Not fair! I'm talking about modern day, like alive politicians.
They never clarified.
all
Never
of-
clarified.
We rise to the challenges, we meet them, we're well prepared to greet them. Taylor? Or
Like she wouldn't write something
No,
that
no,
bad.
no.
Yeah, it's
I think
bad.
that sounds like a Michael Gove type thing.
that was
Yeah.
Rishi Sunak.
Yeah.
I'll stare directly at the sun, but I'm never in the mirror.
Taylor.
I know,
Obviously.
I know.
Obvious.
If you can't defend the indefensible, so anything you say sounds self-serving, hypocritical.
I think that's Taylor.
I don't think it is, but we'll go with you. Go on.
No, that's Diane Abbott.
Yeah.
In this fallen world, we'll never achieve perfection, but that won't stop me trying.
That sounds a bit Taylor.
That is, yes.
Say it again.
In this fallen world, we'll never achieve perfection, but that won't stop me trying.
I think it's Taylor.
Okay.
Was it a Davey?
It was Michael Gove.
Yeah.
We said Gove. I actually helped write these when they were meant to be for the last debate.
Right. No one ever told me it wasn't allowed.
That sounds like a Boris, isn't it?
Yeah, very good, very good. Frankly, when it comes to my chaos, you ain't seen nothing yet. Taylor, or
I feel like we're getting harder ones. When you come to my chaos, you ain't.
when it comes to my chaos, frankly, you ain't seen nothing yet.
Don't know what you think. We're not very good at this round.
No, we're not. Is it
No,
Trump?
no, it's Farage.
No, but we got a politician though.
You have half a point. All right, one more. This is getting a bit weird. I love the old days, you know. You know what I hate? There's a guy. Go on, who's gonna get it?
Wait, say it again. Stop going like this.
I love the old days, you know. You know what I hate? There's a guy.
Joe Biden.
Incorrect.
Is it Trump?
Incorrect.
Oh.
Yes, it was Donald Trump.
There's a
Right,
guy.
that leaves us enough of that. Quite enough of that. Do we have a winner?
Yeah.
It's Jack and Kate. Who win the inaugural Never Mind the Ballots absolutely rubbish trophy. There we go. Congratulations.
2 defeats, 1 year, Jonathan.
It's the final round.
2025 will be your year of winning. That's enough of that. Well done to our winners, and thank you all for watching all year. We will be back in the new year. Remember to subscribe to us, youtube.com/The Sun. Merry Christmas. This was Never Mind the Ballots.